Welcome to Manage It Better. I'm Zach. I'm here to ask some questions that normal people ask when something tech comes up.
I'm Sean. I'm the CEO of Solomon IT, and I'm here to give answers to those questions in as base form as I can, which is going to be hard because I tend to ramble.
Yeah, so if he starts talking in code, I'll reel it back in. I'll do some translating. So today's fun topic is we're going to talk about something that most people don't actually think about. Is actually hackers have a seasonal type of buying period, the same way that we do.
Yeah. So hackers usually start out really slow in the new year because they've done all their heavy duty work and at the end of the year, and it just kind of ramps up from January all the way through December, and it really hits its high point mid November all the way through the end of the holiday season here in the U.S.
So Sean, why does this matter for a normal business or even just the average consumer just buying something in seasonal times?
Well, especially in the seasonal times, we've got to be on a much higher alert. We've got DEF CON, whatever, and this is like the highest level of DEF CON is right around the holidays because it's really when the hackers really step up. People are more stressed. They're not doing things as intelligently as they might normally do because they've got so many things going on. They got all these Christmas parties, all these holiday gatherings with their family, and they're bouncing from place to place, and they're just in a major rush. And so it's a prime opportunity to take advantage of somebody not taking that extra moment to think, hey, maybe this isn't a good idea to click on this, or hey, this is a great deal. Let me jump in and grab this while it's on sale just today. And all of a sudden, your credit card information has been stolen, and suddenly you've got another $10,000 of credit card debt that you didn't expect.
Yeah. So can you give us an example of something that, I don't know, the average person would see on a day-to-day basis?
So hackers like to take out advertisements on Google and Bing and other search engines, and those advertisements are usually the top three links that you see in a Google search. So a few years ago, my wife was looking for a nativity set, a very particular one, and she found it. Normally, this thing's like $1,000, I think, and she found it for like $200. And she said, "Sean, check this out. This is such a great deal. You should buy this for me." And I looked at it. I was like, "Nope." Not going to happen. And she's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "That's too good of a deal to be true." And
Okay.
when we investigated, the site had only been spun up in the last 60 days, and nothing about it seemed legit. It was registered to a domain in China. Not to say China's evil, but they do have a little bit of a reputation here in the U.S. And just it was too good of a deal to be true. And so when I investigated it further, and I've got the technical knowledge to be able to do so, I was able to easily figure out and show my wife, hey, look, these are the indicators that show that this isn't a legit offer.
Okay.
Right? But it was an advertisement that she found on Google while searching for that nativity set.
So let's say everybody doesn't have a husband like Sean who lives with them. How are they supposed to be able to look at something and know that if they don't have somebody like you looking over their shoulder going, no, don't do that?
If you've never heard of the website before, probably not a good idea to shop from it. Okay? That's number one. If you trust it, you trust it. If you've shopped at HomeDepot.com or Lowe's or Ace or whoever, you know that those are legitimate hardware stores. But if you go to Bob's Hardware Emporium.com and you find a Milwaukee for $50 that's normally $600,
I'm buying it now.
well, that's probably not a good idea, right? But the other part to that is that as you're clicking around and you see these advertisements for these random websites and it looks too good to be true, it probably isn't.
Okay. So give me an example. So that's obviously like when you're searching for things or you're clicking for things, but aren't there other strategies like text messages, emails, phone calls, like the whole Amazon thing? Like I get text messages all the time from Amazon saying, hey, because right now Amazon's a hot topic. Everybody's ordering. You got Black Friday sales, you got Christmas deals, everybody's doing layaway stuff. There are all these Amazon things that are coming through, and I see these text messages come through that say, oh yeah, your package is going to be delayed, or your package was canceled, or, how do we tell if that's real?
Log into Amazon's website.
Okay.
Most of these vendors are going to have some type of website that you can log into and find the actual tracking number and click on it through your own account, right? It's the same thing that we tell our clients when you're looking at whether an email might be legitimate or might not be, or something may be fishy, it probably is fishy. If you have any notion, hey, this doesn't seem right, go with that gut feeling. Um, Hackers use similar domain names. They may change an I to a 1 or an L, and it all looks very similar when you're taking a quick glance at it, right? And if you get a text message that you're not expecting it, don't trust it, right? You get an email that you're not expecting, or maybe you are expecting some type of email, but it isn't the way that it should be. You should reach out verbally through a good trusted source, not that email or not that text message, and reach out to the person who supposedly sent it to you. Right?
Okay.
In this case, you get a text message from Amazon saying your package has been delivered. Well, that's great. I wouldn't necessarily click on the link. I might go to Amazon's website, especially during the holiday season, just because that stuff is so prolific.
Yeah. Um, Another thing, kind of about the whole Amazon thing, just to kind of continue off of that. What's weird that I heard about is that people are getting packages of things they didn't order, and sometimes they have like a review or a QR code. What's the purpose of it? Like, why have you heard about these things?
So some of it is legit. They're trying, smaller businesses trying to use QR codes to get more reviews, boost their amount of people who are going to see what they do and trust them better. Some of it could be, I'm not saying all of it, but some of it could be you go to the QR code and now you're at a website and they ask you to type in all this information about yourself. This is called social engineering.
Okay.
And what they're trying to do is they're just trying to get a good profile on you and as many people as possible so that when they get more information on you, they can start tabulating all of that and coming up with ways to actually engage you a little bit more and get a little bit more trust out of you. There are people who kind of text message, and these are hacker groups, but they text message somebody, and the person responds back and goes, "Oh, I think you got the wrong person." They go, "Oh, my bad. Well, how's your day going?"
Yeah.
Right? And you never meet this person, but you tend to ask them, well, what's your hobby? Well, I trade crypto for fun. And then
They start leading into that conversation. Yeah.
actually, no, they don't actually tend to lead you into that conversation. They just keep up this facade until you ask questions.
Hmm.
They build that trust until you kind of go, "Hey, my daughter needs a new bicycle, and she really wants this special one or whatever it is." And you go, "How are you making money doing crypto?" And then they start taking you down to a fake website that has a crypto exchange on it, and you don't know the difference because you don't trade crypto. And suddenly you've given $500, and then they're like, "Oh, no, you really should do a little bit more than that." And they just keep pushing you further and further into it until you're $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 into it. And really, the payout for them or the return on investment from a business standpoint is they spent a couple of hours total texting with you and just saying, "Hey, how's it going?"
And they can get all your information and get money paid.
Right.
Okay. So obviously we're in November, December timeframe, right? If you ask my wife, we're already at Christmas because after Halloween, everybody starts ordering things. We start decorating for the fall. We start ordering Christmas presents now, unless you're like me and you wait till the last minute. But what do we see that's spiking around this time of the year as far as things that we need to be cautious about?
So I just want to stop and time out for a second. You're going to be that dad who on Christmas Eve was running out to Walmart going, "I need the Lego set. I need the Lego set."
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, that'll be next year, and it won't be Legos. It'll probably be Barbies or dolls because it's a girl.
Right.
But yeah,
Right.
unless she's in Legos, I don't know.
So everything starts spiking this time of year. You've got an increase in phishing attacks. So if you're buying homes, you're logging into websites, you need to be very aware of the emails that are coming in and verify that they are coming from Amazon or wherever you're purchasing from. The other big thing is, and to avoid that, look at the domain it's coming from and be very diligent to make sure of that.
What is the domain?
So the web address,
Okay.
you've got Amazon.com. Well, make sure it has Amazon.com and it's not ammo1on.com,
Yeah.
something strange that they haven't put an extra number or letter or tagged it with a dash at the end, something goofy But if you're not paying attention, you don't take that extra second to look, you're going to figure out real fast that you've given away way more than you expected to give away for Christmas.
Is that what that little lock up at the top left, like next to the bar?
So the lock just means it's a secure website. If that lock isn't there, then that's a pretty good indicator that the hacker really just didn't take the time.
Okay.
And that's just one minor little indicator. Most websites have a SSL, a certificate to show that lock is there and that it's encrypted and safe. In that regard, that it is encrypted, that it has a secure lock on there.
Okay.
But if it doesn't, that's a really quick red flag that there's a problem. But it's just one checkbox, right? You need to make sure that the domain or that web address that you're going to is legitimate, and preferably before you click on the link. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
So if I go to Amazon.com, and or at least what I think is Amazon.com, and I look at the title, and let's say it doesn't say Amazon, or let's say I don't see it, or I look at it, and it kind of looks like it. Maybe I didn't glance, maybe I'm in a rush, right? But it does have a lock. That doesn't mean that it's safe. It doesn't mean it's secure.
No, does not mean that it's safe. It means it's secure, but secure and safe are two different things,
Okay.
right? If I give you a key to a house and you walk to the wrong house and that key still works, was that house safe? Just because you have the key to a lock doesn't mean it's safe,
Gotcha.
right? Years ago, we had vehicles with, I think Ford and GM at one point in time had 4 master keys. Okay? Well, if you got hold of one of those master keys, you could open up a quarter of their vehicles, right? So just because you have the key doesn't mean that it's safe. And just because you lock it, it doesn't mean it's safe,
Okay.
right? If I walk up to the wrong Ford Mustang back in 1968 with the right key, I may be able to get into that Ford Mustang. Or even better, Saturn, you could lock the doors on some of the old original Saturns, but you can unlock the door with a quarter. Again, just because it has a lock on it doesn't mean it's safe,
Okay.
right? But that's from phishing and that's domains, but you also have the text messages that we were talking about.
Yeah.
And again, this comes back to if you're not expecting it, it's probably not safe. Don't click on it, right? When you're searching through the web and you get these advertisements for things that are just too good to be true, again, probably not safe.
Yeah.
You have to take an extra moment and look at it and think through it. I know in the holidays it's really hard. We're gunning the gas pedal to get to Starbucks, or we're gunning the gas pedal to get to McDonald's or Chick-fil-A or wherever we're going. And we got the kids in the back of the car, and they might be screaming. They might be playing other video games. You got your husband or your wife telling you all about their day and the things that we've got to get. And there's just so many things coming at you that you tend to glance over the simple stuff.
Yeah.
Or what seemingly is simple, and you've been doing it all year without any issues. Why would now be any different? And you go into autopilot on it. And so it's really important from a cybersecurity standpoint and consumer business to really put your guard up and stop and ask those questions. And if your gut feeling says at any point in time, this just doesn't feel right, go with that gut.
Okay. That's good advice. Obviously, we talked a lot about Amazon, basic consumer stuff, right? Buying stuff from Amazon, Target, Walmart, that kind of thing. But during the holiday seasons, when it comes to hackers or purchases or whatnot, how does this affect somebody who runs a small local business or even a medium sized business? How can they be attacked in this time of the year?
So, I mean, it's like any other time of the year in regards to how they can be hacked. It's just the increase of how much is coming at you, right? You've got staff, you've got employees, maybe you're a husband and wife, maybe it's just a solopreneur operation, but you're going to have more advertisements coming at you that may or may not be legitimate, and you've got to be able to stop and look to see if it is something that is legitimate, or if you get that little itch that says, hey, this isn't right, something's wrong here, and be able to go, I know it sounds like a good deal, but I'm going to shy away from this, right? If you're going to go looking things up, look for reviews on that particular website, right? And Billy Bob's Emporium of wholesale parts might be a great place to buy auto parts. Okay. But you don't know. So just do a little bit of research on it before you go clicking into their website and clicking in this fantastic deal that possibly isn't a good idea,
Yeah.
right? It's on us as consumers to do our due diligence. It's on us as business owners to, again, do our due diligence before we go buying stuff. But from a protection of ourselves to our consumers or our clients, we should already be doing a good job in the way of cybersecurity before the holidays hit, right? But if we haven't been, then it's a really good time to make that a little bit more robust.
Yeah.
And that could be that you need to get a better firewall. That could be that you need better anti-spam and anti-phishing. Maybe you should be training your employees better. I do recommend that. Right? But there are a lot of things in the way of cybersecurity that need to take place for a business. And if they're not doing it, this is a prime point in time for a business to get hit because you do have so many people shopping online.
Yeah.
And as much as we all want to say, oh, my staff wouldn't do that, they're wholly devoted to their job and they're only going to do the paperwork and click the buttons and type on the keyboard. The reality is they take lunch breaks at the very least, and they're probably going to do some shopping. They're doing some shopping on your corporate network. Now, if they go to the wrong place and they click the wrong place and you don't have the right securities in place, it's very possible that they could get your entire network infected. And ransomware is very proliferant at this point in time because there are so many opportunities.
Yeah.
So many people are clicking on so many different things. So all those threats that we are concerned about as consumers buying from Amazon or Billy Bob's Wholesale Emporium, your staff are probably doing the same exact thing during the lunch breaks. We'll say that they're only doing it during the lunch breaks, but the reality is they're probably doing it during the lunch breaks because when else do we have time?
Yeah.
And so those threats that we're concerned about hitting us as consumers, we as business owners should also be very concerned about those hitting us because let's face it, as business owners, we have an entire staff that we have to worry about being able to provide a paycheck for, not just ourselves. And so that stress, I know, wears on me as a business owner. And so not just because we're a great IT company, but because I really want us to be able to stay in business,
Yeah.
I'm going to have good security, right? And in fact, we apply all of our securities to all of our systems, but we want to make sure that businesses are aware that their staff can be just as deadly to their company while shopping online as they can be to their own personal computers at home by doing the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And something you kind of mentioned about is the whole time thing, and this is one thing I thought about is I feel like I get like spam calls. I feel like the spam calls, at least for the average person like me, happen pretty much from I'd say like 7 to I don't know 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. It's almost kind of like that. Even though they're in nighttime, I'm still getting all the spam calls during the day. Now I feel like when it comes to the emails or the hacking or kind of the behind the scenes stuff, one thing that is I feel like something kind of big to bring up is these hackers don't take vacation. They don't sleep on the same time as we do.
They don't need to.
Exactly. So I feel like if you can kind of dive a little bit into the whole time of hackers might not attack you during the day. They might attack you during the holidays, during the weekends, during your nights off, right? And if nobody's monitoring that, nobody's checking it, right? So dive a little bit into that kind of aspect.
So a recent hack that took place with one of the larger AI search engines or chat whatevers was that they leveraged the AI to automate a hack against about 23 major corporations throughout the world, and it was 70 or 80% accomplished through this AI. So they hacked the AI, the jailbroke it, is the term, and they used it to put together a fairly prolific hack against 23 major companies worldwide. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details of that, but what we're talking about is that AI and just automation in general are ways that hackers use to do this 24/7.
Yeah, because AI doesn't sleep.
Right. And the automation that they have built into things is very, very good. It used to be that we just had to worry about a rule being injected into your email rules, and suddenly it'll automatically respond to any of the replies from a particular set of email subject lines that says, "Oh yeah, 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 I sent that. You're good." And you would never see that email because it would either get deleted, although hackers figured out that we were looking into stuff like that, and so they, instead of deleting it, they moved it to the RSS feed because nobody ever looks in their RSS feed folder.
Yeah, because people like me don't even know what an RSS feed is.
Right. And so why would you look at it?
Exactly.
It's just a folder that's there that you ignore.
Yeah.
So you never look at it. Well, hackers have gone from doing that to getting a little bit more sophisticated as AI develops, but there's always been an automation built into this, right? At least for the past 20 years. How else do you have a ransomware that pops up on the computer for you and says, hey, you have 48, 72 hours to pay this ransomware, buy one Bitcoin and deposit it into this account, and then, hopefully you trust us as illegal criminals to keep our word and unlock your system.
Yeah. Yeah. Which that'd be fair to do, right?
Well, and then do you trust them not to hack you again? Because let's face it, if you were vulnerable once, you would think that we would learn our lesson and go, oh, we need to fix that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, a lot of people, they pay the ransom, and then a year later, they get hacked. And I've got one cute little story. The FBI or Interpol was closing in on one hacker group, and they knew it. So they shut down their operation. But before they shut down their operation, they went to another hacking group and say, hey, we've got a whole bunch of companies that we know are vulnerable, and we've got to run. But we'll give you that list and tell you exactly what all the vulnerabilities are. Just pay us $1 million. And so the other hacking group said, yeah, that's easy money. Here's $1 million. They went through, and some of these companies had just gotten hacked like a month earlier, and some of them had been hacked a year earlier. That hacking group went and ransomed all of them. So within a year, a whole bunch of companies got ransomed again by a completely different hacker group because the original one was running for the hills to get away from the police.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Rubik's Cube. Is once you learn how to solve a Rubik's Cube, you can mix it up and jumble it up as much as you can. It's just a matter of how much time they're going to get till they solve it. And the only way to fix that or make it more difficult is add more layers, add more squares, make them spend more time. And I think it's kind of an interesting concept of when somebody goes, well, I'm not that big, right? I'm not this large corporation. I'm not the Pentagon. I don't have national files or, so why would they hack me?
Well, why would they hack an individual user? It's not because your information is necessarily high value. It's that you have bank accounts just like anybody else. You have credit cards. And hey, why not order something on your credit card for $500? Right?
Yeah.
Unless you've got some type of system that stops it from being charged.
Yeah. So if you could talk about the concept real quick, 'cause I think it's kind of interesting. As from a hacker's perspective, if I'm going to hack or try to get a hold of, for instance, my information versus you as a CEO, your information, right? Versus, I don't know, somebody higher up in a large business, like, I don't know, Michael Dell, right? Hundreds of employees, thousands of employees, right? Well, why would he hack me or you versus Michael Dell or large corporations? It doesn't make any sense of why they would attack us versus them.
Access. The simple one word answer is access. You as a salesperson have limited access to our corporate resources, but you as a salesperson have limited access to some of our resources. And so by gaining access to you, they have an entry point. Now they want to develop that and kind of wiggle their way through the cracks and find more access. Privilege escalation is what it's called in the IT world. But basically, they want to start with the low-hanging fruit, whatever's the easiest way to get in, and then begin working their way up into the architecture or the hierarchy, as it might be called, to get access to not necessarily what I have, but maybe our system administrator, our finance team, right? If you're looking at Dell, Why would they want to hack Michael Dell? Well, maybe they want to do some insider trading, right? Or maybe they're just going to avoid Michael Dell altogether, and they're going to look at how can we fake sell something to Dell and they'll buy it,
Yeah.
right? How can we falsify a PO for $100,000 and then transfer the money and make it all look legitimate?
So basically, what you're saying is that it's easier to hack the small guys, and because it's easier to hack the small guys, those are the people that actually should be more cautious and should be they're more vulnerable because at the end of the day, like my house, like yeah, I've got a router, right, but I don't have the advanced technology that you guys have, like firewalls and implementation of policies and procedures and security and endpoint detection and all this tech stuff. Is that you get all these small businesses that are really really good at what they do. They're mechanic shops or construction shops. They're whatever they are, right? They're really really good at their industry. But if they don't have IT, then they're actually more vulnerable than these other companies that are bigger, because I guess what they're just easier to get into.
Well, the U.S. government has decided that they don't want to allow nearly as many people to work from home. It's not because it's not convenient. They can pay them less and they're happier. It's a lot to do with security.
Yeah.
If I can hack your home computer, then where's your work computer logging into when you're working remote, even as a government employee? The same wireless access point that everybody else is working off of. It's where is the easiest way to get entry into the network? Is it your personal computer? Is it your work computer? Is it while you're at Starbucks? Is it while you're at Dunkin' Donuts or Chick-fil-A? Where are you at where I can get some type of access to your system and then begin wiggling my way through those cracks?
Yeah.
So, yes. Are they going to go after me directly? Possibly. Is it going to be more beneficial for them to do that? Maybe. Some CEOs don't realize that the security is important, and so they require their IT team to circumvent it for them because it's easier for them and they don't have the time, right? Don't get me wrong, two-factor is one of the most annoying things in the world for most people when working with a computer. But I still use it because I know that if I don't, I put myself at risk, but beyond that, I put all our clients at risk.
Yeah.
And as an IT company, that's what we do. That's one of the biggest things that we do is risk management, right? So do we say, oh, well, Zach doesn't need two-factor. He's just a sales guy. No, Zach gets two-factor, right? And it's because it's that what's our weakest link?
So I'm the weakest link.
Well, you could be.
Yeah.
I mean, reasonably speaking.
Yeah.
And so it depends on where your weakest link is. Oftentimes, you'd be surprised how many CEOs are their company's weakest link because they don't want to take the time to deal with the security.
Because they feel like, yep, this is my company. I don't need that extra two-factor. Like it's me, right?
Right.
And they're doing stuff and they're busy. They don't have time to pull up their phone and do all the two-factor. Yeah, that does make sense.
So, but another thing you look at is maybe it's one of your line workers, your frontline people, right? Again, it's just where can I get the easiest access to begin weaseling my way through cracks and exploiting things, right? My goal as a hacker is to escalate my privilege to get to the next level. It's kind of like a video game.
Yeah.
You know, you go to Mario Brothers, and I guess I just dated myself a little bit there, but you go to Mario Brothers and you get through the first level and the second and the third and the fourth, and then your princess is in another castle. Okay, well, on to zone 2.
Keep moving, yeah.
Right? And we keep going through all the zones and we keep finding out the princess is in another castle. But this is just us escalating our way through the zones or through the levels.
Yeah.
And we start out at level 1. Now, sometimes you get those warp portals and you can jump to level 4. Right? And the hackers love that. But we're trying to get into the least privileged account and work our way up as undetected as possible. Now, we have in our anti-spam, anti-phishing software, we're able to sit there and say, hey, these are executives. Like, we need to really look into what's going on with these people.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's a little bit more strict in how it looks at things for those people. But it's not that much more strict. It's just keeping a tighter watch, right? Um, but if we can, as hackers, get in through whoever, could be a small business, it could be a logistics hack where, hey, they're trying to get it into Billy Bob's Emporium. Solomon IT manages Billy Bob's Emporium. So maybe they try to hack Solomon IT in order to weasel their way through our systems and get access to Billy Bob's Emporium. Now, I tell you from my own knowledge of how we operate, that's not going to be the easiest way to get through. Low level frontline employee would be a whole lot easier of a way
Yeah.
than going through us. We would pose a challenge. Now, maybe a hacker says, hey, I want that challenge, right? Or maybe the hacker goes, well, that challenge is worth it because they manage so many different clients. Maybe they look at it because we manage so many high value clients. Whatever the reasoning is, they may go after us instead of going directly after Billy Bob.
So sometimes so what you're saying is sometimes you might not be the big dog. You might not be this big old client that somebody's after. But if you're somebody like, I don't know, healthcare or consulting or smaller practices and smaller businesses that have these either high value people or these high value uh, businesses, that they might actually try to target the, like you said, the weakest link of the small business. That's like, oh yeah, who would hack me, right? Why would they come after me? Well, again, like you said, it's you're not the end goal, and you might not even know you got hacked because again, you're not the end goal. So they might be hacking a smaller business to get to the bigger business, and they would never know.
Yeah, supply chain hack. And you can see that with CPA firms. You can
Yeah.
see that with manufacturing firms that manufacture something for one company to another. Let's say you work for a local company, Denso. They manufacture different motor parts. I think Ford is one of the vendors or one of the manufacturers that they work for. So they have access to Ford's networks, so they have to be more secure. Now, Ford has, I know for a fact, pushed down certain security requirements down to their manufacturers because they understand the concept of this supply chain hack.
Yeah.
And so they want their suppliers to be secure because that could be a entry point into Ford's network.
Because essentially, if we manage Denso and or a CPA or somebody manages Denso and Denso works with Ford, then basically they could come through us or come through a CPA, try to hack into us, pretend to be somebody like you or me, get into Denso and get hacked into them ultimately to get to Ford. And you and I would never really know, and Ford would never, or Denso would never really know. Because again, we're not their main target. They're not ransoming us, but we could have things on our systems that if we don't have the security, they're already in our systems trying to get up to Ford.
Yeah, and to kind of bring this full circle back to the original concept of the consumer, again, you have employees who work from home.
Yeah.
And maybe they use their home computer, which we don't recommend, but maybe they use their home computer. Well, if their home computer isn't secure, now the connections to whatever they go to are not secure.
So I take my work computer home and I go on to a website, I don't know, whatever it is, to go purchase something for my wife, which is not a legitimate website. And if we didn't have the security that we have, but I go home and I go to try to purchase something and I don't know that I have something on my system. Well, then I come into work on my work computer, connect to our work network. So what you're saying is that the people who don't have security, that's exactly how it's almost like a disease. It just passes on because you've given somebody the key.
Yes, and let me tell you one of the methodologies of how that works. Okay, you click on a nefarious link. It installs a drive-by modification to your web browser somehow. That web extension then enables a keylogger. Okay, and what's called, puts on there what's called a RAT, a remote access Trojan. Okay, now I think we're all familiar with the Trojan horse and how that works, and a lot of people have probably heard of what a Trojan virus is. A remote access Trojan is essentially this similar concept. It's the horse in there, but now you have remote access to everything that that horse has access to without having to put people inside the horse. Right? And so now we have a keylogger that logs your password when you type it in. But not just that, I have remote access to your system. Now I'm going to go to the website cookies and I'm going to look for the cookie that has your two-factor. I'm going to pull that cookie off. I'm going to put it on my computer. Now I have your username, your password, and I have your two-factor already approved. I put them in my web browser. I don't have to do anything except for your username and password because I'm already authenticated with your two-factor because of that cookie. Now I can go order whatever I want from whatever websites I've got with that, and Bob's your uncle.
So you're saying that if I'm a company and I have two factor and everybody's preached that two factor is it's the way to be secure, it's the way to tell it's you. Two factor isn't just enough.
No, and I kind of opened myself up for that question.
Yeah. It's like it's. I mean, that's basically what you're saying. Is like if we have two factor on our systems and our phones and stuff, that cool. But two factor can be stolen.
It can be stolen. It can be circumvented, and that's the caveat to it. Again, you want to have the right security is on your computer, whether it be your personal computer or whether it be a corporate computer. You want to make sure that you've got endpoint detection response at the very minimum on your computer, not the traditional antivirus, which most antivirus companies aren't selling traditional antivirus. But if you go for the cheapest, least expensive thing, you might be looking at traditional antivirus. And we're not going to go into that on this. I'm not going to expound on that. But effectively, it is tombstone. It's dead.
Yeah.
Traditional antivirus is worthless. Endpoint detection response goes deeper and is actively watching what's going on. And that's the point of endpoint detection response. Will it catch everything? No. Target attack is going to be able to figure out how to disable, how to circumvent it, but it takes a lot more time to do that.
So as an average consumer, how can I I have a laptop at home, right? And I try to be cautious about what I click on, where I go, right? Look out for weird links or you search something and it says, sponsored and sometimes you're like, maybe that's not the right one. But what is something that I can have, either a antivirus, a spam filter, something? What is something that you would recommend to like put on my system if I just, make a mistake?
So I'm not going to tell you what not to use, but I'll give you some applications or antivirus softwares that I would say are reasonably talented at being effective.
Yeah.
Again, for legal reasons, I don't want to say that these are the only ones. They are not. There's lots of them out there.
Yeah.
But some of the ones that I've
just
seen.
like some examples of.
Panda has some decent software that does a good job for residential. WebRoot, Viper. Sophos isn't bad for residential.
Okay.
And again, there's lots of them out there. There's just a few off the top of my head that I've either run into and have had some experience with, or I've actually used or seen in use before, and they've done a reasonably decent job. But again, those aren't the only ones. There's lots of them out there. Just because it's a major brand does not mean that it's the best one out there. It might be very secure, but it may also have some other nuances. And to elaborate on that just briefly, we choose the endpoint detection response software that we use based on how well it performs in being secure, but also how much in the way of resources it takes up. Because for our clients, we don't want a 1-year-old computer to be acting like a 3-year-old computer, all because of the antivirus.
Yeah.
Right? So antivirus is an important thing to have on your computer. But the other thing is check the web extensions you've got on Firefox and Google and Edge and Safari and make sure that they're legit. And just because 1,000 people say, oh yeah, I use this, or thumbs up, doesn't mean it's legit. Do a little bit of research on it and see if there's anything that's out there. If it has some goofy name on there, I would question that a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
So really quick, because you kind of touched on that, and I feel like this is something that somebody could be listening and go, yeah, let me do that real quick, right? So to check your extensions on your computer, how do you get there? What do you do?
So everybody's a little bit different, but usually there's like 3 dots in the top right-hand corner. You'll click on that, you'll find extensions. That's what I'm looking at right now inside of Edge. Same thing. Firefox has 3 little dashes. Google's got something up there. Safari's got something somewhere.
Okay.
But you're looking for extensions or add-ins, add-ons, something to that effect, depending on what they label it in
the browser, yeah.
Right, whatever browser it is. And then you go in there and find anything that you didn't intend to install, number one. But number two, look at them and see, do they have some funny name to them that just seems a little bit fishy. I mean, if it's like Wildcats ZZY Top LLCXP,
Yeah.
I would question that,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it sounds to me, something like that sounds like somebody from a foreign country who doesn't really speak English, and they threw together a name and just happen to put some music artist in the middle of it. Did they make it sound English? Yes, kind of, but they're not super familiar with it. Does that mean it's nefarious? No, but it's an indicator that elevates my senses and says, hey, this is a little bit of a red flag. I don't think I want this one. I'll find a different one.
To recap all this, we're in busy times. As a consumer, as a person who is just out in the street shopping, if you were to just recap in like 2-3 sentences, what are the things that we should do, watch out for, make sure that we're checking, just real quick, what would that be?
So definitely look at the domain name or the thing in the bar at the top,
Yep.
right? That says Amazon.com. Make sure it doesn't have a funny A to it or a weird O or a weird I or a weird E. Those are really easy ones to manipulate and make it so that at a glance it looks like it's the correct domain,
Okay.
right? If it seems fishy or you didn't expect it, don't click on it,
Okay.
right? Go with your gut feeling there. If you receive a text message, try to just logging into the main account without clicking on the link in the text message. Maybe the text message is just legit, but you didn't expect it, therefore don't trust it.
Okay.
You get an email with links, or you see an advertisement somewhere and it just looks too good to be true. It's probably not true, right? And then make sure you've got basic security on your computer. Make sure you've got endpoint detection and response, right? If you can, get some type of anti-phishing, anti-spam service. If that means you pay for, instead of taking a Google free, you pay for it a little bit, then do that. If it means that you use Office or Outlook.com, use some type of anti-phishing service, right? Generally, they're not too terribly expensive, but households have limited budgets. Businesses oftentimes have limited budgets, and so we've got to kind of weigh the balances of those things.
Okay.
But I would highly encourage anybody and everybody to make sure that they have basic security posture on their systems, both as a business owner, but as a consumer,
Yeah.
right? And to kind of boil all that down, it is that basic security posture and taking the extra moment to look at things and analyze. We are our best first and last line of defense, both as consumers but as businesses. And so if we're not trained, then we need to educate ourselves. But again, it just takes that little extra moment of looking at things and analyzing things instead of rushing through everything, right?
Yeah.
We do this while we're driving. We want to rush, especially during the holidays, and we have spikes in accidents, right? If we just let our foot off the gas a little bit, hit the brakes a little bit more often, kept a little bit more space between us and the car in front of us, a whole lot of those accidents would be avoidable. And the reality is that we're probably not saving that much time by tailgating somebody, right? And we're probably not gaining that much time by running that red light and risking running into somebody who's trying to take a left turn. So the extra 30 seconds pays off huge dividends when you're able to avoid something that could easily be avoided just by taking an extra moment to wait and be patient.
Yeah.
I know it's hard during the holiday time, but taking that extra moment and waiting and being patient is crucial in avoiding scams and hacks. And then the other thing is having a good basic security posture on all of your systems, including your cell phone.
Yeah. Okay. And then I guess just real quick, the same thing as far as if you're a business owner, a local business owner, whether you got a small or medium-sized, big-sized business, what would be the 3 little tips that you would say, hey, just during this holiday season, make sure you watch out for it, make sure you're doing it, or make sure you're avoiding it? What would be one of those, or 3 of those, I should say?
Keep an eye on all your accounts,
Okay.
right? Make sure that they're all secure. That includes your credit card processing company. Make sure that they are actually PCI compliant and they're following the standards that are set for the industry.
Yeah.
Right. make sure that your systems are secure. Again, basic security posture.
Yep.
And then lastly is work with your staff. Help them learn, help them educate. There are programs out there that aren't super expensive that can do adequate training if people pay attention. There are other systems out there that are pretty good and have videos and are engaging with your staff, and they're more likely to remember these things. Those are even better. That's one of the ones that we use because it engages with people and they're more likely to remember it. And what's the purpose of learning something if you're just going to turn around and forget it?
Yeah.
So, and what's the point of paying for that if you're going to turn around and forget it? You don't go to college and then go, I don't need all that.
That's not what you do.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
And you paid a lot of money for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And so you want to get something out of that. Well, if you're
Yeah.
going to pay for training, you should get something out of it and make sure that your staff, again, your first and last line of defense is the human.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how much AI we have. Right now, AI is very smart, but it cannot get that gut feeling to say, something just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
So being human is a good thing.
Okay. All right, Sean. Well, that kind of wraps it up for today. Thanks for hanging out with us today in this episode. If anything sparked a question or an interest or even a concern, we want you guys to set it in, kind of let us know what questions you guys have, because we want this to be a back and forth to where we can kind of educate you guys on what's going on in the world. So tell us what you guys are curious about, what confuses you, what you guys are scared about or worried about in the next, few coming months. Obviously, holiday seasons are here, so hopefully everybody's enjoying their holidays. But we'll pull from the questions that you guys send in for future episodes. So thanks for being here, and we'll see you on the next episode of Manage It Better.